Hello, I'm Binzer Flynn, and welcome to the Flinncast.
Aloha.
Hi.
Hello. How does this sound?
Fantastic.
I have been doing a lot of poking at it. I also think that I need to buy myself a new laptop.
Oh, darn.
I could do with a new one for me since I haven't bought myself a new one personally in about 10 years. So
Oh, you gotta treat yourself.
I think so. I might go shopping. This is the first Cryos is hearing about it. So
I mean, it's your money, so do whatever. I don't care.
it's true.
Newly married Cryus isn't gonna do the, what's this gonna cost?
My bills are paid.
Yeah, paying for those strippers.
Right? The lap dances. All of the lap dances add up.
Plan is to go episode by episode, but I'm expecting we'll veer all over the road, and that's fine.
Yeah, because we're going all the way back to the Ahsoka episode, right?
Yeah, the last four.
Oh, okay. I was wondering how far back we were going.
We haven't done one since the Bo-Katan episode.
I didn't take notes this time. Oh no.
Yeah, mine are very simple, but they encompass many things, so I think we'll be good.
Supposed to take notes?
No, Jason and I just do.
Yeah.
You guys are
Watch it
going
once to enjoy it, and then watch it through and take a second time and take notes.
Next week we're gonna do on Tuesday. I think we're gonna do another Discord watch party the whole season, and I've been holding off until then to watch it all, but it's killing me because I really want to watch the whole thing again.
Yeah.
not very good at rewatches. I'm not gonna lie. It's a thing. Ask Cryos.
She's quite frankly terrible at it. Yeah.
My attention span is not great with it. So I have to. There's some things I will watch. This I'll be okay to rewatch. That's cool, and like I can rewatch The Princess Bride a bazillion trillion times. But there's some things that I'm like, okay, saw it once, good.
Yeah,
And our Christmas in a row rewatching Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's true. That I do every year.
And then I subject you to Muppet Family Christmas because it's the best Christmas movie ever invented.
It is the best Christmas movie ever invented.
Family Christmas.
It's a good movie. I like it. It's just
It's
not
my-
my
we
Christmas
just-
movie.
Yeah.
We just watched The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
There
That
it
is not the same movie at all.
It has Christmas song in it, so it's a Christmas
there
movie.
you go.
That's true.
I really enjoyed Die Hard the
Candy
other night.
Christmas.
I forgot how much I liked that movie.
But I watched out for the first time last night. It is hilarious.
It's pretty funny, but it's one that I like. I watched, and I'm good.
Yeah.
I
Me
don't
I
need it
have
again.
never seen
I'm not
it.
a big Will Ferrell fan, so yeah.
He's funny in this because he's so
Over the
innocent.
top.
well. No, he's just so innocent that it's like it's kind of ridiculously funny. But like once I hear all the jokes, then I'm kind of like, all right, now I'm not gonna laugh, and now it's just Will Ferrell.
It's kind of funny because he did this right after Old School.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's like, it's like not the opposite, but it's definitely a
fair.
much more PG. Probably G, honestly. I don't even know what's rated.
And apparently, they were actually a little worried that he would not come off properly after he had made Old School, but it worked out okay. So there you go.
Hey, he cummed all over the place. Sorry.
Not sorry.
Wow, this is a family show, Carmine. Jesus Christ. Fuck's sakes.
Watch the fucking language, would you?
Let's get this fucking family show on the go, for Christ's sakes. All right, first one, The Jedi, Ahsoka episode.
Woo!
Yay!
Because
Fucking amazing.
I love me some Ahsoka, so this is one I was kind of waiting for, because she's my girl. But
I think Rosario really pulled it off too. Really did.
Especially when they had
She
that
really
first
did.
scene where she bends down with the two lightsabers. You're like, yep, there's Ahsoka.
They didn't fuck around as far as taking time to reveal her. Like, they just kicked off the episode, here we go, and wicked fight scene showed her right away.
And that fight scene was really good too. Like it was a good like lightsabers on, slashy slashy, lightsabers off, sneaky sneaky.
She was like
Well,
a
they-
ghost.
The use of cinematography in that whole sequence was amazing because of the way they used the light of the lightsabers to cause the shadows and light her face, and it was beautifully done.
It really, really was.
The whole episode was beautifully shot.
That's true.
Yeah,
It was
it
like
was.
the fog atmosphere and the swampy tree. Like the whole thing was just really cool, and it was a really cool planet to get to know.
Very much so.
And the cool thing about lightsaber props nowadays, as opposed to like the prequels and stuff, is they're actually using like saber forge stuff or close proximities. So they're actually throwing the light off correctly, and they don't have to digitally add the light and reflections and stuff in.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. I didn't actually know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, because if you've ever watched like videos of Ewan and Christensen practicing the duels for Revenge of the Sith, they're using like lightsaber hilts with like really thin stick blades on them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can we back up for a second? Who?
You and
Yeah, but
Ewan Kenobi.
Whatever.
Ewan McGregor.
That's what I said. I said Ewan.
Ewan.
Okay, apparently I can't
Ewan.
pronounce his name correctly.
We've discovered
All right.
Christ's secret speech impediment.
I didn't know
Elon.
that was. Yeah.
I also really liked Michael Biehn. I don't know if I'm
Yes.
saying that. Really, like I don't know if I'm saying that properly, but I saw him and I heard his voice and I was like, oh my god, I know who that is, because I had literally just
Yeah.
watched Tombstone like the night before.
And it's like the only way to be sure is to nuke him from orbit.
Oh man, love that guy.
Actually, it took me about 5 to 10 minutes to figure out that was actually him, because I know him back from like Aliens and,
Yeah.
and the Terminator, and I just realized, okay,
Yeah.
the guy's aged 30 years. Holy shit, the guy is aged 30 years.
Holy shit! I've aged 30 years.
Me too.
He's
The
scarier
voice
now.
Yeah, the voice was perfect though. Like he still has the same voice and everything. So, but no, it was really nice to see him in it. It was really nice to see him in yet another amazing franchise. So he's super solid in everything he does.
Did anybody catch the 2 little Easter eggs they put in with him in reference to Hicks from Aliens and Johnny Ringo from Tombstone?
I thought the fact that he used a shotgun blaster rifle was a Kyle Reese nod.
It could have been that too, but I definitely it fell into to the Hicks thing for me. 'Cause, yeah, like Carmine just said, keep it close for close encounters. But also the Johnny Ringo, he did a kind of a quick draw scene with Dane, which he lost.
Yeah.
And I think he lost it in a much the same way. Like, I think he was, I don't know, I can't remember 100%. I'd have to go back and look, but I want to even say that he lost the same way. Like, the shootout scene looked similar.
Might have been. I felt like they really were paying tribute to Hicks and Ringo, and that was really cool.
That was
Well,
a nice
it was
choice.
definitely at the very least, it was like the classic showdown. Like there's just the 2 of them standing in the streets, and one of them would be like, "Yep, nope, let's just do this."
I like how he arrives to the planet. He's just trying to get information, and nobody's talking. Everybody's like, "Rah rah rah! You gotta go see this person." Rah, rah. And then he finally gets there, and they're like, "We need you to kill this person." Like, that's the person I'm looking for. And I think foreshadowing. But when he first met Ahsoka and she attacked him, he's defending himself just using his Beskar gauntlets, establishing that Beskar does indeed stop lightsabers.
Ahsoka really went on the offensive there, like surprisingly so.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that I'm not sure. I'm not sure Din knew that Beskar could block lightsabers.
Yeah, like when's the last time he fought a lightsaber, right? Never.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've already established he didn't know what a Jedi was, because he's like, "What are these space sorcerers?"
He had to been blocking those shots, going, "Holy fuck, it works!"
Yeah, because he doesn't know about the dark saber at this point, but
Yep.
we do, and as the audience seeing that, okay, yeah, lightsabers for people who didn't know already, kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, lightsabers can be blocked by Beskar. Oh, good, because Moff has one of those.
Well, it's nice to see that now, because now, for those of us who like the expanded universe, we actually get why the Mandalorians were so dangerous to the Jedi, and vice versa.
I just want to say I was very happy to see HK droids, and I want more of them. But I want one certain one. But it has opened up a door we know that it could happen.
They look
It's-
different. They look different, but it was very cool that they had actual HK droids.
It's very funny. I was trying to explain that to Merida after the episode on, and I had to throw on 10 minutes of HK-47 to
Yep.
the point
Yep.
across.
What was everybody's reaction to the reveal of the child's name, Grogu?
My literal first thought was Artemis is going to hate this. It's not a cute enough name.
Yeah, it,
really
it,
putting
it
her
doesn't
own-
have a soft. It's two hard syllables rather than a hard and a soft. Like Yoda is a hard to a soft.
Right, from a storytelling point of view, it takes away the mystery of the child, or a character referred to as the child, and then giving it a name, it gives it an identity that no one, like, it changes it.
That's true. And the thing about Grogu in this episode is that we start to see him in a new light. And you know what? My heart really went out to him, because you think about what he's been through in the last 50 years, completely alone, just it cast him in such a tragic, sad light.
And as much as Flurry, you're saying how it takes away, which I do agree, but on the other hand too is I don't think they could have continued. Like eventually, we've got to find something. Like we're gonna get some sort of information on him. Either somebody's going to name him or something. I don't know how long they could go with it's the same way with never seeing the face. I don't know how long they can keep it without ever seeing it.
But they only had 4 episodes left to go. Like, this was the 4th. You know what I mean? Like, now knowing now that we've seen the end of this season, we didn't have very much longer to go. So they could have revealed his name in the last episode, and I think it would have had a bit of a more impact.
I disagree, because I feel like that they needed to build up the fact that he had this backstory and this history, and the only way that was going to happen was through Ahsoka kind of translating it into words. So I feel like that was really important to start to connect the dots, so that, like you said, there's this tragic story, and that we would start to see, and then our brains would start to churn, and we would be like, okay, well then who's the Jedi he has to talk to if it's not Ahsoka? And then I'm glad they named him. I hate the name.
Yeah.
One thing that they kind of left, and maybe they'll address it later on, is how did he get out of, who got him out of the
I think it was Jocasta, but that's just me.
I was just going to bring that up. That's a great fan theory that's popped up, is who rescued him from Order 66 from the temple. And Jocasta Nu is the librarian from the prequels who talked to Obi-Wan, and she's been in the Marvel comics, so it's canon that she survived now. And who better to know the galaxy where to hide a youngling, right?
Somebody posted somewhere they thought it was Mace Windu.
I think that one's a much wilder series.
Oh, yeah.
Jocasta makes more sense because she would have been at the temple. Mace going back, we'd have to have another character who miraculously lives for that to happen.
You know what? They've been giving us a lot of cool shit we never thought we'd get. People need to let go of this Mace Windu shit. It's over.
Yeah,
for sure. I kind of have some money. Like, I think R2 might have been involved.
See, and that's my thing too. So when all this happened, that was actually I was kind of flipping to the end. Is so this is where we're going to flip a little bit. Did Grogu, if he was in the temple at that time, and they obviously the younglings were familiar with other Jedi. When Anakin comes in and is like Master Skywalker, and then he murders them. Grogu would have been in the temple. He would have been somewhat familiar, possibly, and there was a good chance they would have seen R2. And then, of course, we see R2's little interaction in the last episode, so it's almost like they could have known each other. So yeah, maybe R2 was there. And although in the movie we don't see R2 in the scene where he cuts the younglings down, he was with him. I'm pretty certain.
And he doesn't look scared of R2. But I mean, now we recognize that he's lost some of his memories and stuff, although I kind of got the sense that they came back once he did the little commune with the Jedi thing. But
when Ahsoka mentions like Master Yoda and things like that in the temple, he does a little kind of his ears perk up a little.
So I think he's remembering stuff, but I just feel like if R2 had been partially, I don't know, responsible just by being there or whatever, I think he would have been frightened of him seeing him.
Here's the thing with the R2 thing. My personal opinion is that they just met and R2 is friendly and Grogu's like, oh, what a nice little droid, and they became friends. I don't buy into that R2 had anything to do with Grogu's escape from Order 66 or knew him at the temple, because R2 was never around the temple. He was always with Anakin and all them, and Outer Rim sieges and all that. He was never around. So I don't buy it. And if they try to shoehorn R2 into Grogu's rescue, I'm actually going to be annoyed from a storytelling perspective.
So we get to see the Mando and Grogu have some cute play and catch. That's really nice.
Yeah, what I really liked was near the end of the episode. So Ahsoka's like, "No, I'm not going to train it. Not going to train it. Fine, I'll train it if we do this." And then he's like, "No, I'm still not going to do that." But when he goes back to the Razor Crest to gather up the things and get him ready to hand him over to Ahsoka, and he's delaying. He is taking his sweet ass time because he does not want to let go.
Yeah,
and it's adorable.
The whole reason why she chose not to train him, she's fearful of his powers because my interpretation is that she felt he could go to the dark side. Did anyone else get that?
Right. She knows Anakin had attachments, and she knows Anakin eventually fell to the dark side.
Right.
She knows she did too. I mean, she didn't go completely dark, but she definitely.
Yeah, and also I don't think she feels that she is a full Jedi anyways, because she kind of did leave the Order and never really went back.
I was hoping she would do that at some point in time, the I am no Jedi kind of line.
3/4 or most of the way through the episode when she's looking for who, is that I don't think she's got time to sit down and train Grogu because
she's clearly got her own things that are, well, with the announcement of the Ahsoka thing, the Thrawn mention was she's got her own shit to take care of.
Yeah, which the name drop of Thrawn is awesome because we're gonna get a live action Thrawn. It's gonna happen.
That is very
Ben's
exciting.
Head exploded, and it was wonderful to watch.
Raina has witnessed repeated head explodings over the course of these episodes.
People are lobbying for Benedict Cumberbatch to be Ron. He's too big a name, but actually he would be amazing. But he's too big a name.
You know what though? I don't.
One of the Mickelsons.
Yeah, one of the Mickelsons could do it. On one hand, I agree with the names are too big for it, but I feel like they could actually take somebody that is a big name and make it work without it overshadowing it.
I mean, they got Tom Hiddleston doing the Loki show, so you can get Benedict Cumberbatch to do a Star Wars show, I'm sure.
Sam Jackson's he's doing the Secret Invasion show, so there are big names attached to regular TV series with Disney.
If Disney throws enough money at you, you're going to agree to do it.
I do worry about the Doctor Strange factor, though, because he's got already part of their franchise, but I guess if you painted him blue.
I mean, so is Migna, and let's see who else.
Yeah, because she's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so she's already tied to Marvel.
And Mulan, if you want to go back even further.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like yesterday to her because Ming-Na never ages.
No,
whatever.
She's one of us, Merida.
Hear it. It's true. Shh, don't tell them.
My favorite line in this episode: a Jedi and a Mandalorian, they'll never see it coming. And if I had a credit for every time I've said that.
Or we've seen it on screen because there's a whole bunch of Clone Wars of Jedi and Mandalorians, but sure, whatever. I think. So the fight. So while the duel's going on and Ahsoka's throwing down with Miss Beskar spear, I think she could have won that fight handedly. She was just trying not to.
There was some interesting. I don't really buy into it, but interesting fan theories about how she wasn't trained to fight someone with a spear. But I don't really buy that. I mean, they're Jedi. That whatever you got, they're gonna fight you and do
she
well
would
at
have
it.
fought the droids with amphistaffs, wouldn't she?
Yeah, I know. I found it to be a pretty weak theory, personally.
She was probably trying to draw more information out of her, because if it was a quick end to the fight, if you accidentally killed her because you went full aggressive, then she wouldn't get any information.
Yeah, that's true. And I can see maybe she's not used to fighting against Beskar. Maybe.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, she had a practice round with Din earlier.
So moving on to the next episode, when the title card came up, we're all sitting all excited for the show. The tragedy, we're like, wait, what?
No!
Press F for the Razor Crest.
Oh, the poor.
I love the fact that we went to Tython just for Old Republic heart. Seeing it and seeing the little temple on the hill kind of thing, and I thought that was beautifully done.
I am glad that they kind of went minimalistic with the ruins, because in the Old Republic game that they could have gone with a big Jedi temple ruin. They didn't do that, so I was kind of glad they didn't.
Yeah, it was just like there's just a little bit left. Like there's not, because I mean at that point, what, 8,000 years probably have passed, really?
Yeah, something like
3
that.
or 4.
So there wouldn't be much left.
Yeah, so it was perfect, and it looked great. It felt natural. But I know I'm sitting there, and I was sitting beside Laura on the couch, and then that's when I saw the ship come in, and I'm like, I just gave her hand a squeeze. What's going?
I was surprised we got there so quickly. I was expecting another side quest before having to get there.
Yeah, we gotten a little used to those side quests, eh? So the Seeing Stone, of course, now with the season ending, we know who heard the call from Grogu. But a lot of fans, of course, were having fun with the theory. Who else may have heard it? And of course, obvious answers like Ezra, Leia, Palpatine himself. Even people were going maybe Cal Kestis from the Jedi Order game, shit like that. So there were a lot of names. It was fun to theorize on that one. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Ezra and characters like that heard it too. I mean, I can just imagine Leia at a New Republic meeting going, "Huh?
Sorry, I got call waiting on that one."
Yeah,
Luke handle it.
I definitely think others probably heard it, but Luke would have been the closest, and he's also at this point in the timeline, Luke is actively trying to rebuild it, so he'd be actively looking for people.
Yeah,
that's his whole thing.
And he obviously might have just been the closest too, right? Because Ezra's in the unknown regions, as best we can tell. I don't know what Cal does after the game because I haven't played it. So I don't know if he runs off to hide or if he tries to protect the younglings or something. Like, I don't know what he's doing right now.
Yeah, and that game takes place sort of pre-episode 4, so it's a big unknown stretch of time there.
I honestly thought they would go with somebody less noteworthy than Master Skywalker. I was not expecting that, but pleasantly surprised.
So then we get the big reveal of, we see Slave One fly in while
Grogu
is on the Seeing Stone or whatever.
Looks as beautiful as
we
ever.
finally find out whose black boots were at the end of the episode.
Oh, we were talking about that, weren't we? That drove us nuts last year.
Yeah, I mean, we all suspect, like, we all had that inkling, but until you really see it.
Yeah.
I was so happy to see he still had his ship.
Yeah.
I wonder where it's
So
been
much so.
5 years.
It's probably parked at Jabba's palace and no one could get into it. That's my money.
Yeah, because you know that thing's got tight security.
And we get Fennec Shawn back, which is good. And she shows off her robo tummy.
I have to say, I was prepared to not like the Boba Fett character. Like, I figured he was going to be someone I wouldn't like. But man, was I ever wrong? Like, here's a guy who not necessarily Mandalorian, but he's clearly got a code of honor, and I wasn't expecting that.
They did him the way that they did, so you needed to still have him likable.
And we got a badass Boba being badass moment. So.
Oh God, yeah, redeemed him, because let's face it, it was he had what, 5 minutes of screen time in the past and like 25 lines or something, and yet he was like, oh, he just looks cool. We loved him, but apart from that, he got a reputation of being the baddest, the worst fucking bounty hunter in the galaxy. But then he gets kind of chump changed by a blind guy. It sucked, but now we get to see him redeemed of this is why, and this is years later. He's older, he's bigger, he's he hasn't done this in a while, and he is kicking ass.
But didn't Legends Boba have a code of honor? Like, I remember that he doesn't hunt kids, and he's got a bunch of other stuff. So
he did have a code of honor, but he was like, and this Boba is still very much no loyalty to a larger organization. Very practical and off on his own. But I never would have expected, in the Legends canon, I never would have expected him to really say, not at least not till later on, where he would say like, I owe you, I'm going to help you. He would have been like, I'm out, see ya.
I was surprised that he did agree to be like, no, you gave me my armor back, so well, in a roundabout way, you gave me my armor back. I'll help you out until you get the kid back.
Well, yeah, I did say he guaranteed the safety of the child. The child got taken before he got his armor, so it's like, well, I kind of got to owe you that one.
I did love that we got to see him kick ass out of the armor, and then in the armor he used the knee darts, he used the rocket punch, he went fucking full on. Like Boba Fett finally kicked ass. Like this episode did more for Boba Fett in 15 minutes than the movies did in 30 years.
And we got to see what all those gadgets do.
Yeah, I never knew there were knee rockets.
I knew
Yeah.
there were
What
knee
knee
rockets,
rocket?
but
What knee
Like, if
rocket?
anything really showed that and proved to Din that this was definitely his armor, it was basically like showing how comfortable and how much he knew about that suit. Like, he knew it inside and out. He wasn't fumbling with anything. It just looked like it was just putting on an old favorite sweater. Like, he just had it on and then he's like, this does this, this does this, this does
Like
this.
it was his second skin.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was flawless, like the way that they portrayed that, which was really, really well done.
I love that Din thought he was there for his armor, and he's like, "Not your armor, my armor."
Yeah,
I don't give a shit about yours. I want mine. That rotten, like half melted thing. That's what I want.
You know, what was really interesting to me is Tamir Morrison. He's a Maori. He's from a warrior culture, and he's trained in stick fighting. So when he's rocking these stormtroopers with that Tusken Gaffy stick, like that's Tamir doing his own shit.
I love seeing the Gaffy stick. Now it gives a better understanding too of even all the way back to episode 4, of why people feared the Tusken Raiders. Not just like, yeah, okay, they got the blasters, but like just the Gaffy sticks and why that's such a badass weapon.
Well, that little hook on the end really makes a difference.
So when he gets his armor, we get to see a chain code, which kind of links him back into Django. Django acknowledged him as son, and Django having been on, can't remember the name of the moon.
Concord Dawn.
Concord Dawn.
Yeah, Concord
but
Dawn.
it establishes that Django is a Mando, and that by extension Django was treating Boba as his son and passed the armor to him to include it in his chain code.
Well, technically, Boba is his son. He uses a genetic material. Isn't that technically what a child is? Part of your genetic material?
Two people's genetic materials combined.
It's so interesting to me because Boba is so, like, he's like honoring Django. This is his armor, and he just kind of follows in his footsteps, but he doesn't really give a rat's ass about actually being Mandalorian, which is really interesting to me.
Yeah, as we've seen a couple episodes later.
Yeah. We also got the introduction of the new canon Dark Troopers in this, the fucking Iron Legion.
Jesus, and as we find out later, fuck, those things are god-ass deadly. I'm surprised the Empire fell if they had those things around.
And one thing we find out later is because with the Dark Troopers, if you played the Dark Forces games, you knew that there was a Phase 1, a Phase 2, and a Phase 3. And the Phase 3 was the badass. You got to watch out. And we find out that later on that they are Phase 3, which is why they're so deadly. So you wonder, like, how many of the chances are there weren't many of the Phase 3s ever made, because otherwise it wouldn't have gone so well.
The back to the kind of chain code and stuff that he had on they popped up. We have to talk about what it says.
Yes, it brings Jaster Muriel into canon.
It does. It says Foundling. I opened it up so that I could get it right. Foundling Concord Dawn, Boba Fett took into mentor Jas, the year, and Father Fett. So. And
that officially makes the Mandalorian font letters that is part of canon now too. I don't know if it was before, but it definitely is now.
Right.
Mandoa is canon again! Hurrah!
I'm hoping at some point, and this will maybe happen next season, is I want to hear some Mando phrases that were in the Legends books, because some of that is bled over into Old Republic and stuff. But I would love to see them actually use it, because it's there. It's almost as fleshed out as Klingon. Why wouldn't they use it?
Yep.
So you got to admit that Filoni and Favreau, and this is going to encompass a larger, not just this episode, they've done everything they can to bring back what Star Wars was for a lot of people and what Star Wars could be for a lot of people and what Star Wars is for a lot of people. They've done an amazing job weaving all these stories together. They give us badass Boba moments later on. We've already mentioned Luke once, so they give us, this is what people wanted when they wanted to see Luke Skywalker in a movie. They wanted this. This is what they freaking wanted. Right, you get these badass stories with new characters that people can get behind. The stuff from the Legends that's being made canon again just by little mentions, like you just mentioned in the chain code there, and all the tie-ins with the Clone Wars, bringing all of Star Wars together.
What was that meme going around? Was it J.J. Abrams or whatever? Said you can't make new Star Wars with appealing to the old fans, and Favreau's like, hold my blue milk, bitch.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And Vinzer and I were talking when I dropped off the card the other day. Is that this is exactly it? It's as much as I love the Legends stuff, is that a lot of it was broken. It didn't always have a lot of continuity, but it had great ideas, and some of the books were great, and some of the characters were great. Marjay, Thrawn, all that, and Favreau and Filoni are exactly what you were saying. Is that they're going through that old stuff, and they're finding the good. And they're taking that and be like, we're going to rework that to make it work within the continuity, and with the story now, and they're gonna take all that good and make it work, and it's awesome, and they're doing such a great job with it.
And like we said the other day, they take like the backstory with Thrawn. Well, actually, a lot of his origin is the same, but the story may have changed with Thrawn and other characters, but it's retaining the essence of what the character was. So we're happy.
Exactly, the heart stays the same.
And I think the prequel Thrawn books will help with that.
Yeah.
That come out next year. But what I was going to say is basically, hats off to Jon Favreau for kicking off yet another extended universe as the the Marvelification of Star Wars, somebody was saying, begins with the slate of new shows that got announced. That, I mean, maybe we can talk about at the end. But yeah,
absolutely. Let's move on to the Mayfeld episode. Mayfeld's. I hope we get at least an episode of him every season now, because he is a lot of fun. He's really grown on me.
Yeah,
this was the philosophical episode.
Yes,
it was. We get to see basically Mayfield makes Din question his beliefs. Be like, what would you do? What do you actually care for? What is your purpose? Because at the beginning of the series, he was just a bounty hunter. Then he kind of gets strung along with the child, but then you can see he is growing as a character and be like, what do I believe? And he meets other Mandos for the first time, and they tell him like, no, you can take your helmet off, dude. Like that doesn't make you a Mandalorian. You're actually a cultist. Even though I'm a terrorist, you're a cultist. And so he's learning. He's having his beliefs challenged. Totally. And this one, Mayfield just cuts through the crap and full out just says, you got to make a choice. You just got to make a thing, whatever makes you sleep at night.
Yeah, we're not that different, you and I.
I really hope that wherever Mayfeld's from, that there's just a planet full of people with Boston accents.
Somebody edited his Wikipedia page to say Space Boston.
One thing I love out of the show is that Bill Burr is known for tearing Star Wars apart. He absolutely rips on it all the time. And the fact that I saw an interview where they actually asked him, they're like, yeah, we'd love you. We wrote this part for you. We want you to be a part of it. And he's like, fuck Star Wars. he's like, no interest. No, come on, please. Yeah. And he's like, I really want you to do it. And he did it. And now it's like, he's kind of turned.
Now he's like a beloved character. Like, I love Mayfeld. He's hilarious.
He had some of the best one-liners, even though he was very philosophical. Like, he cracked you up throughout the entire episode.
Someone once said, whatever character Bill Burr's playing, he's still just playing Bill Burr.
Not wrong.
It's like Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
I like how when they were deciding who was going to infiltrate the plant with them, they're like, Cara Dune's like, I'm a rebel trooper, my gene code they'll recognize. Fennec Shan's like, I'm on the wanted list in a couple of places. And then Boba's like, they'll recognize my face.
That was great.
Let's just say they'll know me.
Yeah.
Well, Boba's actually a little funny sometimes, like in the previous episode. Nice shot. I was aiming for the other one.
Yeah.
A shiny new paint job, too.
Oh, man.
I love that paint job.
It looks so good.
Yeah. I also really enjoy it because it's going to piss off people in the 501st.
Well, yeah, you mentioned this the other day, Varen, that the 501st and the Mercs have spent years denying applications of FETs for being too clean. And now they're like, uh-oh.
Well, shit.
No, they'll just probably rewrite it now, so it'll be Boba movies, and then there'll be a Boba Mandalorian series.
It'll be different eras.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't have the gray jumpsuit under it if it's clean armor. It's got to be the black cloak or whatever.
And I would like to say, I much prefer the black jumpsuit to the gray jumpsuit.
I'm digging it.
Me too. Yeah,
I just think the armor looks cooler on black, and that's totally because I wear my own armor on black.
The black makes the armor color stand out more than the gray.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you get a lot more contrast.
Yeah.
He must have like a droid painting station on his ship, and
Right?
he just stuck it, because even the mythosaur on the shoulder was restored. It's like he must have just stuck it in and went, "Oh."
Did you skip that feature on the blackjack or what?
No, I just got a closet full of suits like fucking Batman.
It's true.
One of the things, so moving on a little bit, is when so they, Din decides, no, I'll go, and they're like, yeah, sure you will, and he's like, okay, I was gonna put on this, and yeah, just Mayfield just chirps him for wearing stormtrooper armor the whole.
That whole chase scene and the chase scene and the fight scene on the back was so good to watch.
I wonder those pirates thinking, what the hell? Stormtroopers aren't normally this tough.
Yeah, this guy's busting our ass. What the hell? Send 20 more guys.
From a story point of view too, it was kind of nice, because if the last few episodes we have seen with the Beskar is that he's a tank. That's his thing. That he's a tank. He's not really that fast. He can take a hit. He blocks everything. And it's okay, we need to take him out of that for a moment and make him vulnerable. And how do you do that when you're a fucking tank? So they took him out of it and like, okay, you're gonna have to wear this armor and deal with that. And yeah, like he even at one point they smash one of his pauldrons gets smashed off.
It also did a good job of showing that he knows how to fight with pole arms.
Yes.
Or staff style weapons, sorry, not a pole arm.
So I have to say, hats off to fucking Pedro Pascal's acting, because when Din had to take his helmet off to do the job, he looked so fucking uncomfortable, and he was even moving with his head as if he was still wearing it, but just he looked so uncomfortable.
Deer in the headlights.
Yeah, just all his motions, his whole body turned. It wasn't just his neck, right? It's like if I gotta look with the whole body, because I can't see shit out of those things.
So the following scene, when they actually get in there, and the guy, I forget his name right now, but the leader of the base, I'll just say, when he basically is like, oh, have a drink, like let's talk and everything, I started picturing the whole thing as I'm a DM and all my players are running a scenario and trying to bluff their way through this situation. And then Mayfield's just like, you know what? Fuck it. And then just makes one of those Leroy Jenkins kind of moves and just be like, I'm just going to shoot him.
That's like gaming with Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix has done that exact thing where he just did fuck the consequences. He just shot the guy.
But one of the things I have to really give credit to Bill Burr again, because he's a comedian. He's a stand-up comedian. I don't think he's really done a lot of acting per se.
He was in Breaking Bad, but as a minor character.
Yeah, so I really got to give him credit, because him playing his character has been great in general, but that scene in particular where they're sitting down and they're talking and they're just talking, and he's just doing the subtle movements of him rethinking of he lost everyone that he knew, he saw civilians murdered, everything, and it's basically PTSD, and it's just subtle eye movements and just subtle shifts of the body where he's uncomfortable, and it's very, very well done. It's subtle, but it actually shows he's actually a very good actor. Very good to do that, because the subtle movements are way more difficult.
I don't remember from season 1. Maybe someone else here does. The Mayfield character. I mean, he's a former Imperial sharpshooter. I can't remember if he left before the Empire fell. Like, did he have enough of the killing and leave?
Well, he mentioned that he quit because he was part of Cinder, right? So
right. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Which ties me into my next point of it was nice of them to bring Battlefront into this, or whatever the heck it is. I think it's Battlefront, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Operation Cinder, where Palpatine says, if I can't have the galaxy, none of you will have the galaxy. Burn it down.
I love that Mayfield saved Din from the officer with the quick wit, just pretending, oh yeah, he's a little deaf, he's bomb shocked.
Oh, brown eyes.
Oh, brown eyes.
And at the end, after they start killing everything, he's like, yeah, nah, everybody's dead. I never saw anything.
Nobody saw your face.
Oh, and to your point earlier, Vinzer, when you mentioned his acting when he had the helmet off and everything, as soon as Mayfield tossed him back his helmet, notice how he just got back in control of the situation, took over again.
Totally.
So much more comfortable hiding his face. So that was another good writing part of things. Like the acting's one thing, but they had to be written that way too, right? So
exactly. This episode also gave us a bit of a look inside Fett's ship, which is something we haven't really gotten a lot of, because it's got that really weird rotating cockpit that faces backwards when it lands. So we got to actually see a little bit of that in action, which was
Yeah, it was it's one thing I loved as a massive Slave One fire spray and Fat fan, and seeing how it like we always had a rough idea how it worked, but really seeing that interior, seeing them sit inside, and then just beautiful shot after shot every time we saw it come on screen was just awesome.
We got the seismic charges back.
Oh, so I asked Raina when he ejected that. I was like, wait for it.
He's gonna do the thing. He's doing the thing.
And the silence. I'm like, yeah. Such a good. That's the level up sound in Galaxies. You'd be in Mos Eisley and you just hear that going off from entertainers AFK grinding. So this episode ends with Din sending Gideon a holo message, almost word for word.
One thing I read on the internet today is that some people suspect that Imperial officer that does all the talking is Sabine of all people, and I'm like, are you guys on crack?
What?
Yeah, I saw that pop up, and I'm like, are they on some sort of drug, hallucinogen?
Where the fuck did they get that?
I got nothing. There's no way in hell that is Sabine.
I'm actually looking that up now because I'm like, that's the first time I've heard that.
It was nice at the end of the episode that they let Mayfield walk away.
Yeah, I like that.
They're flying away, and he's like, give me a second. He pulls out the rifle and takes a sniping shot at the Rhodinium. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
And the whole base goes up, and it's kind of his,
The other bit we missed at the end of the last episode was that it looks like that medal that Cara Dune has is actually like a legit New Republic I'm the Sheriff badge.
Yeah, she totally is.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
He's the law.
It's all in now.
The title card for the last episode came up, The Rescue, and I went, so there's gonna be a rescue.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Was it, now that the episode's over, was the rescue talking about rescuing Grogu? Or was it Luke rescuing them?
Ooh. Yes.
All the above.
They go to find Casca and Bo-Katan and putting together this fucking dream team of ass kickers, and Casca and Fett get into it a little bit, which I really enjoyed. And the thing I really like, they did it with Boba and they've been doing it with Din. These guys are ass kicking badasses, but it is possible to knock them down. Like Fett got knocked down.
Yeah, they really should have.
Sasha Banks throwing up the DDT there. So for everybody that doesn't know, Sasha Banks, the other Lady Mandalorian, is a WWE superstar.
That's right.
So she should be throwing down the DDT on Boba there. But the quips were great. The quips were like A+ quips.
There's a moment where Boba was like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care if I'm a Mando or not.
Yeah, he says, I never said I was Mando. Like, Bo-Katan really dislikes this guy. He is the voice and face of like all this shit that she's dealt with in the past.
Yeah.
And I think it is a combination. That's where where Juice was saying, well, it's all DNA, so wouldn't he be a Mandalorian? Well, yes, but I think for them too, it's not just that, and for him, it's the because he's a clone, and they might not feel the same way about a clone versus somebody that was actually properly birthed and raised in the Mandalorian culture, because he wasn't really raised in it.
Yeah, but you know what? That's Mandalorians don't care so much about bloodline. It's the creed. We're proof of that. We're family. Most of us aren't blood related. So
exactly, and so I'm like, there's a bit of that. But I think more of it has to do with that is literally the face of thousands upon thousands of troops that murdered most of her people.
Yeah.
And there is too the bit that, Jango was a Mandalorian by foundling. He wasn't a Mandalorian by blood, so there's not the cultural connection that Jango would have.
But even Jango, I mean, he might, if I asked like Boba, he might have said, if someone questioned his Mandalorianness, he might not have cared either, because he just kind of did his own fucking thing. Like, he sold his DNA for cloning. I mean, like, he didn't.
Yeah, because after the expulsion to Concordia there, they kind of just, fuck it, don't care anymore.
Yeah, as he says, and Boba says, I'm just a simple man trying to make my way, right?
To back on that foundling thing, I mean, Din's a foundling too, right? So.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, we get a little bit there where I think there's definitely some residual trouble.
Jumping around a little bit, I have been enjoying the meme lately where she calls him she says that sidekicks don't get to talk, and A, also a sidekick, and B, Boba then says, fine, fuck you, I'm gonna go take over a crime empire. And
True.
Oh, one thing I found cool about this episode, moving ahead a little bit from the bar scene, was that Boba has Slave One's like targeting computer in his helmet visor, which I thought like he while he's shooting at that Lambda shuttle, he has the viewfinder or the rangefinder down, and it's
Yeah,
clearly
but
in with Slave One's laser cannons.
didn't we see Django do something similar in one of the Star Wars movies?
We've seen Boba do it in the old movies too.
Yeah. But one thing I liked seeing the Slave One and the TIEs go at it for. It wasn't a very long scene, but it was really nice, and it was nice to see a space battle like that again, and again showing how awesome that ship is.
Fett really fucking pieced out when his part was done. Eh? Can you imagine if he'd hung around for another half hour and Skywalker showed up?
There's a great meme, and has everyone here seen Umbrella Academy? Before I say anything.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh yes.
All right. So there's a scene in that where Number 5 and Vanya pass each other in their cars for the first time.
Love that
in
meme.
season 2, and they're just like passing each other and like pointing each other like you, and there is just them, but they've superimposed Fett and Luke's head over each other, because the last time they would have seen each other is when they get thrown into the Sarlacc pit.
Oh, and one thing I'm still curious about is I'm not quite sure how you dock Slave One with that Lambda shuttle.
Yeah.
Like, no,
Yeah, we don't. They glossed over it too, because we were watching it together the other night there, and we're like, "How's it?" And they just didn't. They didn't give us an answer there. Like, it just happened. Trust us.
Yeah, and then how about that moment with Cara Dune and that guy? He shot his own co-pilot, and he's just he does the Alderaan statement to get at her. And she says, "I was on the Death Star when we blew up Alderaan." She's like, "Yeah, which one?" oh,
So good.
So the one thing I really like about this season, and while the stormtroopers have been their normal can't hit shit whatever selves, all the Imperial officers we've seen, with the exception of some co-pilots or whatever, they are like fanatics. And I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it would make sense that pretty much at this point, like the only ones that should be left would be fanatics for the most part.
True believers.
They just do a good job of coming off as fanatically evil and all that good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yep. And then there's been a couple, like obviously the co-pilot there, where there's probably a couple still that maybe their family were fanatics, and so they're still kind of drugging it, but they're not fully committed, and they're willing to, like that guy was like, yeah, hey, I'm not with him, like I'm really do this, but he gets shot unfortunately. So there are some, but yeah, for the most part, they're pretty much all fanatics now.
And he made reference to the New Order.
Right.
Yep.
Between the pilot there and the Imperial officer in the previous episode, they are making a lot of allusions to the word order, etc., which obviously is a nod to the First Order.
Yep.
As the rescue begins, the plan begins, and they get on board the little Star Destroyer there. We had some serious girl dream team kicking ass all the way through it.
I was literally shaking on the couch when that started happening, and I saw the 4 women come up. I'm like, yes, thank you. Like, to finally see 4 strong, kick-ass women, like, take charge and, like, yeah, we can handle this. It was amazing.
There was so many like gay vibes going on. Watching it, I was just like, I'm just like, I'm getting some serious lady love vibes right now. Like, this is
True.
There's
But my
definitely
favorite part with all of that, other than definitely there were the vibes, Raina and I were talking about
Yeah,
that as it happened.
we have both.
They didn't make a big deal about it just being women.
Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
it was just there, and it felt natural.
yeah. It was halfway
Like
through the cargo bay or something like that. And I was like, oh shit, it's 4 women doing all this, and it's like it was just like you said, so natural. It's just these are kick-ass characters, right? And then you realize it's
And
like, oh shit, they made it all women. Nice.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because they didn't do this, kind of girl power kind of thing. Well, I mean, it was, and I loved it, and I was so excited about it as too. But I like the fact that you just kind of, they don't say go girls. It's just
Well,
like
yeah.
It wasn't like an Endgame.
No.
no, for sure.
And even to a degree, it wasn't the same as The Boys either, because The Boys, the whole season was girls get it done, the future is female, etc., right?
Now the boys, I look at it a little bit more as satire too, like they're
for
almost
sure,
making fun
hands
of it.
down, definitely.
So going back to that scene, so right as they're bringing in that shuttle and bringing in, I love that we actually got to see in a movie. We finally really get to see how the TIEs are launched.
Yes.
Phoenix was very excited. He's like, "That's the TIE fighters I'm used to on a rack."
Yeah, they're on a rack. They're slow to deploy because you just got to do one at a time. You got to wait, and then when they got to come back in, they got to wait.
Mhm.
Wait your turn. And that was awesome. And then going back to the ladies, is as we're progressing, the little bridge scene where they're going through and then they're obviously being followed, and we get Nosk and Bo-Katan, and they throw themselves off the bridge, and then we're just like, and then they start fighting, and then they just popping up from the sides, just fucking to kick ass.
I said this
awesome.
before, but I feel like the next time we play Star Wars D&D, all you motherfuckers with jetpacks are going to make my lives miserable trying out new shit.
So,
2 words.
everywhere.
Knee rockets.
And
I want the knee rockets.
we already had a jetpack thing last time with Merida. It went well, but you know what? Bring it on. Let's do it.
It's because I got the grappling hook from the
Yeah.
last time I saw it.
You rolled a 20 on that, as I recall, and I was like, oh, fine, here we go.
I did.
So we got the kick-ass fight of Din versus Gideon. I thought that fight was fantastic.
Well, we can roll it back a little bit too. Din versus the Dark Trooper.
Yeah.
Those things are tough. I was beginning to think they were Beskar on the outside of them.
I'm starting to
until
wonder.
the end of or at the end of the episode.
That fight was very well done because it allowed us to be like, okay, we've got these super powerful droids.
Blaster bolts.
So we, yeah, so it's we can't fight them all. So how can we need to show how we can do it. So it's like, okay, yep. So they go with the original plan where they are able to jettison all of them outside, except for that one that gets through and just beats the shit of him. And if Din didn't have Beskar on, he'd be dead on the floor in puddle.
Well, did you see the helmet picture where he's the Dark Trooper's punching the helmet, and it's actually going through the bulkhead behind him?
That was amazing.
Yeah. I'm not sure you'd actually live through that, even with Beskar.
He's got a concussion. He's
no,
got a concussion.
I always say that about the Iron Man suit, the way he lands and stuff. It's like, okay, the helmet might not move, but your brain is still sloshing around in your skull.
Was a bit of a trope, though. It's one of those, you show the protagonist getting harped on by the one bad enemy, and then you see the other guy come in later and carve up 30 of them to show how powerful he is.
Yeah,
it was a bit tropey.
A little bit.
It definitely worked though, because he like cut through them like butter, and you're just sitting there going, "Yeah, no, that seems about right."
Never fight a Skywalker in a hallway, huh?
That's the rule. That is the rule.
Sure.
Oh my
Also,
god, the side by side of Vader from the end of Rogue One and Luke Skywalker from the episode.
If you can actually see the differences. So like when Anakin went through a hallway, he's very aggressive. It's just long strokes from side to side. And he basically just goes in a straight line. It's just aggressive and heavy strokes. Where Luke uses the whole hallway to his advantage. It's almost like Daredevil going around the room, bouncing around.
He took his time on that last one though. He just fucking crushed it. Let's talk about the arrival of Luke for a second, because they've been showing us several instances this season of 2 X-Wings, and then a single X-Wing shows up, and Phoenix turned back and looked at me and we're like, wait a minute, a X-Wing, you say?
You started getting goosebumps as soon as just that single
Totally.
X-Wing. Like, oh, it's only one. Could it be? How many Jedi do we know that pilot X-Wings?
Exactly.
No, it can't be. And then when they pop on the monitor, guy, black robe, with a green, what tipped me off was the green fucking lightsaber. And then I said, holy shit, they're actually doing it. And then I figured, how are they gonna do this exactly? But you know who it was? You're just trying to figure out the details from there.
We were all in a bit of a state of disbelief. We're like, they can't be doing this. They can't be, but they are. They did.
So I remember our conversation on Discord. It was Ragnarok had mentioned about the rumor that Sebastian Stan was cast to play a young Luke Skywalker. So as soon as I saw the X-Wing, the one X-Wing, I'm like, no. And then you see just the guy in black robe, green lightsaber, the black glove. I'm like, I was more focused on who is it? Is it Sebastian Stan or is it Mark Hamill? Who is it? Who is it? And like, I'm watching it with my mom and Charles, and they're like, what the hell? I'm like, they're like, who? And I'm like, green lightsaber. Like, pick it up, people. Like, come on.
Keep up with us here. Come on.
Get on our level. Come on.
I was like, no, they're not. And it's like, holy shit, they went there.
I really thought they were going to get through this somehow without showing his face, keeping the mysterious hooded figure. But it was clear in that scene they were, okay, we are going to see his face here. And I was like, did they get Stan to do this? Because I'm okay with that. But yeah, it was Mark Hamill. They de-aged his face, his voice, and most amazingly kept it a fucking secret for a year.
Right?
Yep.
He's good at
I
that.
mean, they did the same thing with Baby Yoda.
It's true.
So
Yeah.
since that was Mark Hamill,
they had a stand-in actor, and then they de-aged his face, overlaid that the same way they did Leia and Tarkin for Rogue One.
And Jeff Bridges.
No, but what my question is did he do all the lightsaber scenes?
No,
I doubt
No.
it.
he
And see,
voiced
this
it.
is why I know people were disappointed in The Last Jedi when Luke didn't go on a tear with a lightsaber, but like, what would you expect? I don't know how old Mark Hamill is off the top
He's
of
in
my
his
head.
sixties.
What would you expect 65-year-old Mark Hamill to do?
Yeah, he would fight like Alec Guinness in episode 4. He's not gonna be doing acrobatics. Come on.
Luke in his prime. That's what was nice to see.
And then Luke doesn't even introduce himself.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I think at that point, basically just like, oh, Grogu seems really comfortable with this guy for some reason, so I'm just gonna go with it.
A strange man in a cloak arrives and says, "I'm here for your kid." And you're like, all right.
Finally.
You just murdered all those.
Garrison. Yeah.
Yeah, you just murdered the whole garrison that it took me a while to get one of. So yeah, we're good. We're good here.
I think he also would have recognized the weapon from working with Ahsoka. Like he would have recognized the
That's
lightsaber
legit.
in a different color, but with
Yeah.
okay, that must be a Jedi.
Yeah,
Like-
he knew.
Well, you saw how comfortable a Grogu was. Like he literally had his hand on the screen, and he's
Yeah.
just like, "Look,
Yeah.
I helped. I helped."
So going to just a little bit of backpedaling, when we see that one X-wing show up, and they're just like, yeah, just one X-wing. What could it be? If you actually go and watch that scene, watch Gideon's face.
Yeah.
Oh, I did. I'm gonna check for that next week. I missed
Yeah.
that.
I blinked it. I kind of looked back, and you can kind of tell he's concerned that this
Yeah.
one X-wing shows up.
Well, he's the ISB guy, right? He knows everything. He even
And
says, "Assume I know everything."
And he's shown that he knows all their information, even the more recent information. Like I don't know who's given him where he gets his information, but he knows everything, and he's
Do you
proven
think he's
it.
actually force sensitive to a degree and has
No,
some sort
no,
of-
he's just ISB, man. These guys were spies and the information guys. They just fucking knew everything.
because it's like, how the hell did he know Din fired all the whistling birds? He knew that. He's like I know that your arm launcher is completely empty right now. He fired the last of them fighting the Dark Trooper.
I mean, that'd be ship's security cams could pick that up, so he probably
Yeah,
could have
but he was in the
sensors and stuff
cell,
to pick
and
that.
he's not wearing a helmet, so how did he know? Right? 'Cause he was in the cell waiting.
Oh, I mean, you
It's
run
just
into the same thing with Thrawn too, right? Like he's the ridiculously smart villain.
Yeah, and in the old books, they had it was the ISB that took over after Palpatine died. It was Azan Azard and them that ran it. And yeah, their whole thing was they knew pretty much everything that was going on. They had spies everywhere, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, so it's like he's already made a point through basically the 2 seasons that we've seen him of he knows what's going on. He knows who you are, and he would definitely know who Luke is. And so yeah, when that X-wing comes on, you kind of he has a little bit of panic in his face.
And then tries to off himself, and Cara Dune rifle butts him in the mouth.
So yeah,
Yep.
he knows who was coming after him. I mean, especially if you're gonna pop yourself.
So let's talk about how you make a Mandalorian cry. And I made a lot of predictions this season, but this one came true. Then took off his helmet so Grogu could touch his face.
Yeah, no, it was perfect, and it was I think it kind of went back to that last episode with Mayfeld of questioning, and he realized that taking off the helmet wasn't that bad, and then he was like, he does it for Grogu, and it was like it felt natural.
Yeah.
You could still tell he was a little hesitant, like he's still not comfortable with it, but he's getting better at it.
His beliefs have changed.
Yeah, definitely having run into other Mandalorians, Bo-Katan. Is it Casca? I can't remember.
Casca, yeah.
Casca.
Casca's the way you say it. And then Boba Fett as well, not wearing the helmet. It's like, okay, apparently I am in a cult.
I was happy to see that because Fett was in the old days. He was quite renowned for not taking his helmet off. So when he had his armor back and took it off, I was kind of like, oh, good. It's not going to be a problem either.
I still think his helmet's going to remain on for the majority of the time,
Oh, yeah.
especially the second
Yeah.
last episode. You saw that he was like extraordinarily uncomfortable taking off his helmet in public. So it's not like it's going to be coming off every half minute in future seasons, but it will probably come off a little more now than
Yeah.
we're used to.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Darksaber complication, because Din has won the saber from Gideon, which according to Mandalorian custom makes him the new ruler of Mandalore, which Bo-Katan is very upset by. So I think
Talk about being a friggin' zealot. Bo-Katan going after Din for his helmet thing, and then when he offers her the saber, she won't take it because of of Mandalorian dogma.
here's the thing: I love Bo-Katan, but this might be an unpopular opinion, I don't think she deserves to be the ruler of Mandalore. I think she had her chance and she fumbled it. And I think season 3 is going to be all about the retaking of Mandalore and the return of the Mandalorians as a people. And Din's going to be this reluctant king. And I think Bo-Katan, I think she'll come around because she's going to have to help him. But she's like, I don't think she should be in charge because she's way too personally invested in it. And it's just a recipe for disaster.
Does she expect him to throw the fight against Gideon?
She thought she was going to get to Gideon first, so
Yeah.
she didn't think it was going to be a big deal. But I think that we're seeing like kinder, gentler, older Bo too right now. So like originally she should have never have been anywhere near ruler of Mandalore ever at all, ever, because she was angry.
Like I said, I do think she's going to come around because at the end of the day, she just wants to restore the Mandalorians and the planet. So I think she'll come around and be like, all right, you're the king, so you better do a good job. I'll be there to help you.
I don't know that she wants it. She wants Mandalore restored, but I don't know if she really wants to rule it in the end, because
I think she's just more upset that she didn't get to be the one to beat down Gideon in a fight.
yeah. This whole Darksaber thing, that's new too. They didn't have to fight before. Everybody just got that hand.
Yeah, in Rebels, it was given to her by Sabine.
The
And
argument for Rebels is that Sabine didn't fight Maul for it either. So
I hate the whole Darksaber thing. I hate the Darksaber. I hate it.
It's just a thing, but it's no knife in the desert. But my thing is, I think that maybe Gideon kind of alluded to the fact that nobody respected her in the role before,
right,
when she was ruler, and I'm wondering if that is because they know that Sabine just gave it to her.
Oh, maybe. Good point.
Because I mean, that was how Maul got the leadership from Gar Saxon.
Pre Vizsla.
Or yeah, sorry, it was Pre Vizsla. I'm switching shows. But that's how he got it. Is he challenged him, and it was like the leader gets it, and then he's like, "I have the Darksaber. I'm your leader now."
So here's my question. Here's my question going into season 3, if it's going to be about the return of Mandalorians and retaking of Mandalore. One, will we have a good chance of seeing characters like Sabine come back? I think probably. And big question that popped into my head today was, is there any more of the Sons of the Watch cult out there? Any more of Dan? We know the Armorers out there somewhere. Are we going to see them show up? What part will they play in the retaking of Mandalore, and how much of a problem are they going to be for Din?
Right. So I was thinking with the whole Darksaber and Din's hands thing and Bo-Katan looking on, is if Mandalore's as devastated as it is, they're going to have to rely on a lot more foundlings. So having a foundling as their leader might actually help bring and reunite Mandalore.
Great point.
Better than if Bo-Katan had it.
I also, Ben and I were like shooting theories back and forth, and I was kind of wondering, are they going to take it to like, going to end up being like a civil religious war kind of thing? Like it could, I can see, I have like one of two things. It could be like the religious zealots come and they're like, oh, okay, cool, we can just set everything back to the way it was, and then it kind of creates some upset, or Bo-Katan just gets ticked and tries to overthrow him at the end of next season.
But to add to that, it also could be an internal struggle for Din because of how he was raised and the group that raised him, and learning about this other group of Mandalorians, and learning there's a whole nother way. So it actually could further that deeper, I can't think tonight.
Internal conflict
Within himself, and be in the middle of this civil war.
Totally.
Yeah, I could see us getting where, like, okay, he needs allies to go take Mandalore, so he's going to have to bring in the foundlings, and then he's going to have to bring in like Bo-Katan and the, I'll call them loyalists to make it easy, bring in them, and then get them to work together. So that'll be their first kind of challenge, is getting the two different sides to come together to bring back Mandalore. And I see that being to me, that would be a major plot point. And that would be, and then his internal battle is him being kind of in the middle of that and having to figure out where he really sits.
But then that original group that he was already a part of with where the armorer, like where did she go? And that group. So it's bringing them also in, and that internal conflict that will also stir more conflict, like that way.
Yeah, and then that's what I mean. Like you'd have to bring in that group, and get them to basically like, okay, we need to. We're different, but we're all Mandalorians. We have a little bit different beliefs, but we're all Mandalorians. We need to get along, and if we want to get Mandalore back, this is the only way.
We will definitely see the armor in season 3. I have no doubt.
And what will getting Mandalore back look like? Because it was alluded to by Boba Fett that the planet's been glassed.
Yeah.
Meaning it's been raised from orbit by lasers.
Well, see, that's an interesting point, because Mandalorians historically have been conquerors. So, like, you know what I would do? I'd be like, all right, let's pick out a really nice Imperial planet and fucking take it. That's going to be New Mandalore.
I think that the retaking of Mandalore is kind of a logical conclusion of this story. I do think that it is a little bit crappy that we've evolved from a kind of like a small scale story into, suddenly Din is at the center of some large galactic event, which might turn some people off. But ultimately, I think it's going to be cool. And I'm curious how far Favreau and Filoni have plot points thought out of. Like, okay, so say season 3 is the retaking of Mandalore. Okay, are you doing a season 4? And what is season 4 going to be? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Season 3 might just be them looking for other Mandalorians.
I feel like the scale of it is still going to be on a level we're comfortable with. We're not going to get some big intergalactic civil, or like the galactic civil war with the Empire. It's not going to be anything that big. I think Din's going to get a new ship, and we'll have, Bo-Katan will be around. But I think Carmine's right. It's going to be like, we got to find the people.
And then the question becomes, how does he get Grogu back? Because there's no way Disney's not letting him have their cash cow, their cute cash cow, for a whole season. Does Din get Baby Yoda on the weekends? Like, do they have a custody agreement or what? Like,
did Luke even leave an address where the fuck he'd be? Like, how does he find?
He doesn't even know Luke's name.
It's an APB on a guy in a cloak
flying an X-wing
with a little astromech droid that swears a lot.
Honestly, in a galaxy that small where everybody seems to know everybody, that probably wouldn't be a bad description.
Well, you know what? I guess if Din started asking around, he'd probably figure out who Luke Skywalker is pretty fucking quick.
I'm pretty sure that the moment because we can assume, because Fennec was with them, that Boba eventually did come back to pick them up at the end of the mission.
Good point.
That would be like, oh, what happened? And be like, what happened? Who was here? Describe this fella.
We've got to go.
I'm out. And that's why he's like, Fennec, we're out of here.
Wait, is he didn't go back for them, though?
Not in the show.
Not in the show. We didn't see it, but we can assume that at some point they would have, because Fennec was with Boba in the after credits.
And there's another nice little nod to the lore that I really like that they included. In the planning of how they were going to take the Arquitens class light cruiser, they talked about how it would normally have a Imperial crew of several thousand people, but Gideon is running it with like a barely there skeleton crew of like 80 or 90 people.
Several hundred, not thousand.
My bad.
Either way, much smaller crew. Yeah.
Well, after they fucking killed them all.
End credits.
End credits.
End credits. Like I when I posted the other day, I didn't think I could find a show that would appeal to me as much as this one did, but here we are.
Just that shot originally, and I just remember you see Bib sitting on the throne. I'm like, holy shit, he lived through that thing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't remember seeing him die on screen.
Yeah.
And he's just as slimy as he did.
But wasn't he on the sail barge when it blew up? Or did I miss something?
And Boba got thrown down a Sarlacc pit. We saw how that worked out.
It probably jumped over the side as soon as it started going bad and started running back to the palace.
Yeah, he was a slimy individual. He would have been like, I'm getting out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Did anybody else, when Fennec came down, did her thing, killed a few people, let the Twi'lek dancer go, and then you saw the helmet come down the stairs, and you're like, oh yeah. But I was like, the whole time I was like, you're standing on the rain carpet. You're standing on the rain carpet. Don't stand on the rain carpet.
A little bit trying to negotiate his way, like, oh, we're all buddies. We get along, right? Yeah. Oh, fuck. Blast him in the face. kicks him unceremoniously off the throne, sits his ass down, and then Fennec just going in the background looking for some blue milk.
I am super excited for that show. I never thought in a million years we were going to get a fucking Fett show, much less what's probably going to be a fucking underworld crime show. So like, I am so excited.
The thing about it is like, you never thought you wouldn't know how that would play out either, because you're like, okay, how are they going to bring Boba back? For one, is he going to be as cool as everybody's built him up to be in his mind? And then with the Mandalorian, it's like, yeah, no, he is.
The premise of the show is very interesting to me because, of course, Fett is a famous, feared bounty hunter. Now he's going to be a crime lord, but he's got to establish himself probably amongst fucking huts and stuff, right? So, like, I'm really looking forward to him building that empire. And with that, we close out Mandalorian Season 2. And that's our last cast of 2020. So thank you to everyone who took part and supported it this last year. A special thanks to those who pledged on Patreon. It has really helped us out. So from the crew of the Blackjack, a happy life day to everyone, and the Flinncast will return in 2020.